subscribe, like, comment, share.
Elise went to the bathroom at the airport, changed into a new outfit, and returned to her usual ugly appearance. After checking herself again and again to confirm that everything was in order, she finally left the bathroom. Before Elise went back to the Griffith residence, she went to pick up her parcels. In addition to H's albums, there were also some local specialties from her hometown. Elise took these back to the Griffiths. "Grandpa, I'm back." Elise entered the door, while carrying many bags with her. Seeing it, the servant hurried forward to take the bags off her hands. Jonah was reading the newspaper when he heard her voice, then he put down the newspaper in his hand. "Oh, you're back, Ellie. I missed you so much when you weren't around." Elise hurriedly stepped forward. "I missed you too, Grandpa. These are some things from back home that I brought for you, as well as your favorite tea that my grandparents asked me to bring to you." Jonah nodded again and again. "That's great. Have you been okay at home?" Hearing it, Elise stuck out her tongue in a guilty conscience. "I'm all right, Grandpa." "That's good, then. I'm sure you're tired from the trip. Here, go upstairs and get some rest first. I'll ask Auntie Stella to get you for dinner later." Elise was indeed a little weary from the long-distance flight. Right now, she was just barely holding on in front of Jonah. "Okay, Grandpa. I'll go upstairs first, then." After she finished speaking, Elise carried her things upstairs. Before she went to her room, she first went to Matthew's room and knocked on the door. After a while, the door was opened, revealing Matthew, whose eyes lit up when he saw Elise. "Elise, you're back." Elise nodded and gave him a copy of the album she brought back. "This is the limited edition album by H that I collected before. Here's a copy." When Matthew heard that it was H's limited edition album, he immediately looked at it with excitement. It turned out to be the one he had always wanted. "How did you get it? This is so hard to buy. I've searched everywhere, but I still couldn't find it." Elise scratched the back of her head embarrassedly. "It's nothing as long as you like it. I'll go back to my room first." Matthew stopped her. "Wait a minute, Elise." Elise stopped and asked, "Is there anything else?" Matthew went on to say, "You gave me such a precious album, so I can't give you nothing in return. How about I invite you to dinner some other day?" Elise wanted to say no, but as soon as she saw Matthew's look of anticipation, she thought about it again. "It's just a meal after all. No big deal, right?" With that, she agreed. "Okay, sure." As Matthew heard her reply, he breathed a sigh of relief. "I'll pick you up from campus, then." Elise didn't really think too much of this. Instead, she gave a simple response and went back to her room. After returning to her room, she didn't sit still. Swiftly, she took pictures of those albums and sent them to Michaela. "Hey, babe. I have a gift for you. Do you want it?" She first texted her. "What gift?" Michaela texted back. Michaela's reply was very casual, but as soon as Elise sent the photo over, she was completely ecstatic. She immediately texted back, after seeing Elise's photo. "Wait. What? Isn't this my idol's album? You actually collected so many of them. They're the complete set. Gosh, do I simply envy you." Wait. Hold up. You just said you wanted to give me a gift. Don't tell me this is the gift that you wanted to give me. Oh, my God. I love you so much. Did you come back to Athesia? Wait for me. I'll fly over to you right away." Seeing Michaela's excited replies, Elise shook her head helplessly. "Girl, can you calm down?" "Of course not. Wait for me." Elise simply replied with an okay. After that, she put down the phone, took a change of clothes, and went into the bathroom to take a shower. She thought that it would take Michaela an hour to arrive at the Griffith residence. Little did she know that when she just came out of the bathroom, Michaela had already arrived. Oh, my God. My H. As soon as Michaela arrived, she hugged those albums and kissed them right away like a lunatic. Elise couldn't stand her acting this way, so she couldn't help but say, "It's just a few albums. Did you need to overreact?" To that, Michaela replied, "You wouldn't understand. I have been thinking about these albums all day and night, and I have stayed up all night trying to get them, but I couldn't. Now that I've finally gotten a hold of them, it's like a dream come true, okay? Hang on, Elise. How did you manage to get so many limited edition albums?" Elise answered unnaturally, "I just bought extra when it first came out. I didn't expect that it would come in handy today." Michaela obviously didn't buy it one bit. "What a stroke of luck, Elise Sinclair. How did you even buy so many of them at once? Wait. Are they actually pirated?" As soon as Michaela thought of this, she turned the album over. It was a fact that all genuine albums would have a golden lining which would show different colors under the sunlight at the album opening. And this was something that pirated albums would definitely not be able to replicate. Michaela checked the opening, and there was indeed a golden lining, signaling that it was legitimate. Seeing it, she became even more excited. "It's genuine. Good grief. I'm so lucky." As soon as Michaela's reaction came into sight, Elise said, "Hey. Watch out for your drool. It's basically spilling out at this point." Michaela ignored it all. "Thank you, babe, for giving me all these H's limited edition albums. You're like a goddess to me." Elise couldn't help but laugh and said, "Wow. Did I just buy you over with just a few limited edition albums? I didn't know you were this easy." Michaela chuckled. "Well, it couldn't be helped that H has been my idol for many years. Let me tell you, if I can meet my idol one day in the future, I will definitely." "Definitely what?" Before Michaela could even finish speaking, Elise cut her off curiously. Michaela said with a serious face, "I must ask her for a hug." "That's it? This is your wish?" Michaela didn't notice Elise's expression when she said this as her eyes were completely glued to those albums. A simple hug is enough. For a fan, it's already such an honorable thing to get a hug from their idol. "I really hope that my wish will come true one day." Elise looked at her and said, "Don't worry. It will come true for sure." Michaela thought that Elise was only comforting her, so she didn't take it seriously and only said, "Yes. I will definitely meet my idol." The next day, Elise went to university as usual. Today, it was Matthew who dropped her off. When they got to the university, and when she was about to get off, Matthew stopped her. "I'll pick you up after school. Let's have a meal together in the evening, okay?" Just as Elise was about to ask, Matthew went on to explain. "You agreed before that we would have a meal together. I hope you won't reject me this time around." For this reason, Elise couldn't refuse. "Okay. I'll see you in the afternoon." Elise waved at Matthew, and then walked toward her lecture hall. "Elise." In the next second, Elise heard someone calling her name from afar, and before she came back to her senses, two figures rushed toward her. "Oh, Elise. I missed you so much." Samantha came up, and gave Elise a big hug. Riley, who was standing at the side, didn't forget to say, "Look how excited you are, look out for your image." Elise was surprised to see the two of them. "Why are you two here?" Riley raised her lips slightly and said proudly, "Didn't you say before that we would transfer to your university? Now that all the transfer procedures have been completed, from now on, we will be university mates." Samantha, who was standing by the side, continued, "No. We're actually classmates. It's such a coincidence. Riley and I were directly assigned to the same class as you. We can go to class together in the future." After listening to the two of them, Elise asked incredulously, "You two aren't messing with me, are you?" Samantha and Riley looked at each other and smiled before they continued, "Don't worry. We won't joke around about something like this." The three of them walked to the classroom, while talking and laughing. "Oh, we have to find the head lecturer first and only head to the lecture hall after that. Elise, you should go back to the lecture hall first. We'll see you later." Elise waved the both of them goodbye, and then returned to the lecture hall. When Michaela saw Elise, she quickly greeted her. Hey, Elise. I just saw you entering the campus. With two new faces. Who are they? Elise explained. They are friends of mine. I'll introduce you to them later. Michaela was very curious. They don't look like they are from our university. How did you know them? Just as Elise was about to say something, the head lecturer led Riley and Samantha into the lecture hall, and the whole class became quiet all of a sudden. Everyone, please welcome the two newly transferred students from our class, Samantha Green and Riley Bolton. I hope that in the future, everyone in this class can help each other out and learn harmoniously. As soon as the lecturer said this, the whole class suddenly burst into an enthusiastic roar of applause. Samantha stepped forward with a smile. Hi, I'm Samantha Green. Hope we get along well in the future. Riley also followed along. And I'm Riley Bolton. I'm very happy to join this big family. I hope we can become good friends in the future. The lecturer was very satisfied with their self-introduction, and then arranged seats for them. Their seats were just behind Elise's. After class, Samantha and Riley dragged Elise along to chat together. Seeing this scene, Michaela felt a little uncomfortable and hurriedly walked over. Elise, did you know each other from before? Immediately, Elise made a quick introduction. This is Michaela, my best friend. Samantha took the initiative to reach out to Michaela. Hello, Michaela. Nice to meet you. Michaela stretched out her hand and shook it shyly. Hello. Elise looked at the two of them together and took the initiative to hook their hands on each side. In the future, we will be a group of 4. It's a pleasure to know you all, and I hope that from now on, we can learn together, progress together, and grow together. After hearing this, the other 3 looked at each other and smiled, and this marked the beginning of a newfound friendship. After classes ended in the afternoon, Elise walked out of the campus, and saw that Matthew was already waiting there. Seeing Elise coming out, he hurriedly greeted her. Come. Hand me your bag. Elise replied politely. No need. I'm fine. As she was speaking, she opened the door and got into the car. Matthew gave her a meaningful look, and then got into the driver's seat as well. In the car, Matthew initiated a conversation. I made a reservation for the restaurant at night. It's a newly opened Western restaurant. I heard that it tastes good, so let's try it. Elise only gave a light thank you, and busied herself with her assignment. When they arrived at the destination, Elise's assignment was already almost done. Seeing that they had arrived, she put her books away, and got out of the car. This was a high-end restaurant with gorgeous decor, but when Elise walked in, she noticed that the restaurant was empty. Matthew took the initiative to pull out a chair for her. Take a seat first. I need to go to the restroom. Elise didn't think too much of it, and she took out her phone to unlock it, only to see the message from Alexander. It wrote, Miss Sayre, don't forget that we start class at 8:00 p.m. tonight. Elise only realized that it was Monday, after reading the message, and that she had to teach Alexander evasion at night. She tapped her fingers on the screen quickly, and replied with an OK emoji. As soon as she finished replying, Matthew returned to the table. Elise, do you have any drink or wine that you prefer? Matthew asked proactively. Elise only replied lightly. I'm fine with anything. Matthew raised his eyebrows and said. You have class tomorrow, so I won't order your red wine. How about a glass of juice? Elise replied. Sure. When the two of them were together, Elise could clearly feel that the atmosphere was a little off, but she couldn't quite tell what was wrong. Right now, all Elise could think about was to finish the meal quickly and go home. However, just halfway through the meal, the lights in the huge restaurant suddenly dimmed, which startled Elise. What's going on? Matthew reassured her. It's nothing. Maybe there's a power outage. Elise didn't give it much thought. About 5 minutes later, the lights came on again. At that moment, the surroundings changed. The originally empty hall was now filled with red roses, and had instantly turned into an ocean of rose petals. Elise was baffled. What is this? What's going on? Before she could even bring herself to asked this question, Matthew, who was sitting opposite her, suddenly stood up. Elise, in fact, I've been waiting for this day for a long time. Elise was stunned, and could only look at him with confusion. Then, she saw Matthew walking to one side, to pick up a rose bouquet, and kneel directly in front of her on one knee. Elise, I like you. I know I may be in a hurry to do this, but I can no longer restrain myself and my heart, which was why I chose to confess to you today. Will you be my girlfriend? Elise blinked, thinking that she was hallucinating, but it was all so real in front of her. Elise looked at Matthew, not feeling flattered at all. She pursed her lips and asked, Is this a joke? But today isn't April Fool's Day, and your joke is not funny at all. When Matthew heard her say this, his face became even more serious. He was afraid that Elise would not believe him. Elise, I'm not joking. I really like you. Although your appearance is not the most outstanding, I am completely smitten by you for some reason. I hope you can give me an opportunity to take care of you. Is that okay? I'm sorry. I think you've made a mistake. UHH. I actually still have something to do, so I'll take my leave first. After Elise finished speaking, she got up and planned to leave, but she was immediately stopped by Matthew, who held her by her wrist. Elise, I really like you, so don't reject me. Okay? Elise pulled her arm back subconsciously. I'm sorry. I think it's just too abrupt. Besides, I don't have any romantic feelings for you, so I'm really sorry. With that, she pushed him away and strode away. Matthew wanted to catch up, but as if she was being chased by beasts, she ran as fast as she could. In the blink of an eye, she had already ran far away. Standing frozen in place, Matthew looked at Elise, who had already run away, while his gaze turned cold. Immediately, he threw the rose bouquet in his hand to the ground, and followed after her, disregarding her rejection. After Elise ran out of the restaurant, she stopped a taxi right by the side of the road. After getting in the car, she breathed a sigh of relief. Damn. That was scary. What the hell happened there? Elise muttered to herself. Why did Matthew Griffith confess to me all of a sudden? Elise subconsciously brought out her phone, and looked at her face while thinking that she looked extremely ugly. Whenever ordinary men saw her face, they couldn't wait to run away immediately. Who would fall for an ugly girl like her? Moreover, one could feel whether one truly liked someone or not. Although Matthew said that he liked her just now, she could not feel that kind of affection at all, and she also felt no such feelings toward Matthew, so she simply left. The taxi steadily halted to a stop at the Griffith residence. After Elise paid the driver, she opened the door, and got out of the car. She was just walking into the yard, when she happened to bump into Alexander, who also just got home. When he saw her worried expression, Alexander initiated a conversation and asked, What happened to you? You look like you've lost your soul. Elise raised her eyes and shook her head. Nothing. I'm fine. Alexander was a little unconvinced, but he didn't dig any further. The two entered the door one after the other, and went back to their respective rooms. Elise locked the door and took a deep breath. Although she rejected Matthew just now, it would be quite uncomfortable to live under the same roof in the future. After all, they would see each other every day in the house no matter what. Elise was feeling a little helpless. As she sat on her chair, she received a message from Alexander. Miss Sayre, are you there? Elise looked at the notification. On weekdays, Alexander usually comes back late, because he's busy with company affairs, but he came back early today. Could it be to learn Irisian? When Elise thought of this possibility, her mouth twitched slightly as she typed the reply. Yes. Get ready. We'll start the class in 5 minutes. After sending the message, Elise hurriedly took out an explanation of the basic units of Irisian that she had already prepared. After she was ready, she began teaching. Elise started from the most basic vocabulary, and she taught very well and thoroughly. Almost every detail was explained in depth, and Alexander, who was next door, also listened carefully, while taking notes on almost every vocabulary. An hour soon ended. After class, Elise stretched. At the same time, she couldn't help but feel that being a teacher really wasn't an easy task. She got up and brought her cup with her to go downstairs. Then, she turned into the kitchen to pour herself a cup of milk, but as she turned the corner, she happened to bump into Matthew, who had just returned. Seeing him, Elise almost choked from the surprise. Pretending that she didn't see him, she planned to leave just like that, but she was unabashedly pulled by Matthew by her arm. "Do you really dislike seeing me?" Elise hurriedly struggled. "What are you doing? Let me go." "Elise, I'm serious." Matthew's tone contained a hint of helplessness. "I'm not joking with you, okay? I really like you. Can you reconsider your decision? Please?" Elise's brows furrowed. "I have already said it clearly. I don't like you. I really hope you stop saying such things again." She then withdrew her hand violently from his grip and took a few steps back. "I'm sorry." Elise was about to leave, but Matthew was not reconciled. "Did you reject me because you fell in love with someone else?" For the first time, Elise felt that Matthew was being unreasonable. "I'm sorry, but this is my private matter, so I really don't see any need to explain myself to you." Matthew stared at her. "You only need to answer me yes or no." Just as Elise was about to speak, she glanced from the corner of her eyes and saw a figure, only to see Alexander standing at the corner at some point of their conversation. Matthew, too, saw Alexander and froze in place. Elise was relieved and walked away. After she left, there was only Matthew and Alexander left in the kitchen. Alexander took the cube and poured a glass of water, as if nothing had happened. After drinking, he finally said calmly, "It seems that you have a crush on that girl." Matthew replied emotionlessly, "Alex, have you started to care about my matters too?" Alexander looked back at him. "I don't care about you. However, I just want to remind you to not mess with her. She is not someone you can easily mess around with." Matthew chuckled. "Alex, you don't have the final say on who she belongs to. It's still not certain who will get her in the end." Alexander's eyes narrowed slightly. "It seems that you are determined to win." Matthew tugged at the corner of his clothes and said, "Don't worry, Alex. I will definitely not disappoint you." After finishing speaking, Matthew walked away. Alexander's eyes sank, and a dangerous aura flashed through the bottom of his eyes. Early the next morning, Alexander's vision was blocked by Danny the moment he woke. "Good morning, Alex." Alexander was a little surprised. "Why did you get up so early today?" Danny smiled. "It's all because of you, Alex." Alexander flashed a hint of doubt while watching Danny take an exquisite small box out of nowhere. "Alex, happy birthday." After such a reminder from Danny, he finally remembered that today was his birthday. "Alex, take a look. This is a birthday present that I have carefully chosen out for you for a long time. See if you like it," Danny said expectantly. Under his gaze, Alexander opened up the gift, only to see a car key lying inside. "Alex, it's your favorite car model. I got you the latest one." Alexander grinned in a seemingly good mood. "Thanks, man." The pressure in Danny's heart was finally released as he saw Alexander smile. "As long as you like it, my brother." Immediately afterward, Jack also came over. "Happy birthday, Alex." Danny hurriedly leaned over. "Where's your gift? You can't just say happy birthday and expect to get away with it." Jack smiled mysteriously. "Don't worry. The gift will be delivered on time in the evening." Danny patted him on the shoulder. "Wow. Look at you, trying to be all mysterious." The three went downstairs, while talking and laughing. After a while, Elise also came down. Danny couldn't help but remind her. "Today is Alex's birthday. Did you prepare anything for him?" Hearing it, Elise felt her heart drop. She had totally forgotten about it. Danny seemed to have noticed it, and quickly whispered in her ears, "It's okay if you didn't prepare anything. Anyway, our family will prepare a birthday party for Alex at night, and you can give him the gift then." Elise quickly answered, "I see. Sure. Let's go." I'll take you to campus," Alexander said, and Elise hurriedly followed. After getting in the car, the two of them didn't speak until they arrived at her university. Before she got out of the car, Elise finally managed to say, "Happy birthday, Alex Griffith." Alexander looked at her and said softly, "Thank you. Study hard and pay attention in class." Elise waved at him and walked into campus. As she walked into the classroom, she clearly felt that the atmosphere in the classroom was a little different today. The whole class looked at her with scrutiny, curiosity, and envy. Confused, Elise sat on her seat. At this moment, Samantha and Riley came up side by side. "Elise." Elise was startled when the two of them called out her name at the same time. "Goodness gracious. What's wrong?" Samantha couldn't hold back. "Congratulations." Riley chimed in. "Yes. Congratulations." Elise was confused. "What am I being congratulated for?" Samantha and Riley glanced at each other, then looked at Elise in disbelief. "Don't tell me you haven't checked your results yet." "What result?" Elise asked. Riley whipped her phone out and showed it to Elise. "Log into your account right now and check your Math Olympiad result. The results for the nationals were already released last night." "We thought you already checked it." When Elise realized that results were already out, she took her phone out and was about to check, but before that, she asked, "You guys already know my results, don't you?" Samantha and Riley smiled at each other and urged, "We will tell you, after you see for yourself." The girls watched Elise as she logged into her account. A moment later, her results popped up on the screen, and it was a perfect 100. Elise never thought she'd get 100 in the Math Olympiad. But her friends knew all about it before her, so they went straight to congratulating Elise. "Congrats on the full marks, Elise. You're the only candidate who scored 100. Honestly, I have no idea how you did it." Riley praised her. All their classmates knew about Elise's result as well, but they couldn't believe it. They thought she would flunk the exam because she was a bumpkin. However, the country bumpkin proved them wrong. Their math teacher came in just as they were talking. He looked at Elise the moment he came in, looking pleased. "Now settle down, class," he said. Unbeknownst to him, his voice was trembling. Everyone looked at him, and he took a deep breath. "I'm sure all of you know that the Math Olympiad results have been released. 3 of your classmates took part in it. 2 of them are Samantha and Riley, our new transfers. Their results are good, so I'm sure they will get the prize. However, the star of our show today is Elise. She aced the contest without a doubt, and she's the only candidate who managed to score full marks so far. What a dark horse. I never saw that one coming." Every student in the nation knew how tough the Math Olympiad was, especially the nationals. The questions were prepared by the top math professors in the nation, making it one of the, if not the toughest, math papers around. Even so, Elise managed to score full marks, and it was a testament to her talent. The whole class knew about her results beforehand, but still, they were envious of her after they heard their teacher speak. "You are awesome, Elise," Samantha whispered. Elise, on the other hand, looked calm and collected, as if she didn't care about it. After class was over, everyone huddled around Elise's desk, asking for some pointers. Elise generously told them everything she knew despite their previous mocking, and that made her popularity skyrocket. When afternoon break swung around, Elise told her homeroom teacher she would be taking the rest of the day off. She then went to the nearest mall to buy a present for Alexander. "I wonder what kind of present he'd like." She walked around the place and finally stopped before a Hermes shop, intrigued by one of its neckties. Just when she was about to take it, someone else snatched it before her. When Elise turned around, she was greeted by none other than Ashlyn. "Not bad. I bet Alex will like it if I give it to him on his birthday." She smiled while looking at the necktie. Then, she turned to Elise, and her smile turned into a sneer. Well, well, well. Fancy seeing you here, Elise. Oh, do you want this necktie as well?" Elise was about to ignore her, but she was annoyed by Ashlyn's sarcasm. Didn't think you had a hobby of taking stuff that doesn't belong to you, Ashlyn. Ashlyn chuckled. I'm not taking stuff that doesn't belong to me. I saw this first, and have you ever seen this brand before, you bumpkin? I bet you don't, and I bet you don't even have the money to buy it. Ashlyn wasn't exactly quiet, so she attracted everyone's attention, including the retail assistants. She knew who Ashlyn was, since Ashlyn was their regular. But Elise wasn't. All the retail assistants could see that Elise couldn't afford a tie, so they went to welcome Ashlyn instead of Elise. Hello, Miss Lawson. Good to see you today. Do you need anything? Ashlyn enjoyed the feeling of being worshipped, and she mocked Elise condescendingly. See, Elise? Everyone knows you can't afford this. Friendly advice, don't shoot for someone way out of your league. It will just be a waste of your time. Elise ignored Ashlyn's taunt, thinking of it as nothing but a childish rant. Do you have similar neckties here? She asked the retail assistant. The retail assistant looked at Elise. Yes, but are you going to buy it, miss? She asked sarcastically. Elise arched her eyebrow. How many do you have? That caught the retail assistant by surprise. She answered honestly. It's a limited edition, so there are only 10 of them worldwide. We got lucky, and managed to snag 2. Elise replied nonchalantly. Then I'll take both? Ashlyn laughed in toxic delight. Well, someone's trying to be a hotshot around here. Do you have any idea how much this tie costs? A bumpkin like you can't possibly have the money to pay for it. Just get out of here. But Elise still ignored her. Wrap them up in a present box. It's a gift, she told the retail assistant. The retail assistants were delighted that Elise wanted to buy both neckties. They quickly went to do as Elise told them to, which was completely different to how they treated Elise earlier. Ashlyn crossed her arms, scoffing. You're really good at putting on an act, huh? I'll see if you are actually able to pay later. Just then, the retail assistant came over to her. Miss Lawson, this customer has purchased this necktie. Please give it to me. Ashlyn's face was red with embarrassment, but she handed it over in the end. Then, the retail assistant took it, and kept it in the present box. Miss, are you paying with cash, card, or your e-wallet? E-wallet. Elise took her phone out, and showed the retail assistant her QR code. A moment later, the transaction was successfully executed, and the retail assistant handed Elise her receipt happily. Here's your receipt, Mississippi. Elise nodded and put her receipt in her pocket, before leaving the shop with 2 bags in hand. Of course, Ashlyn was ignored. Ashlyn was angered, annoyed, and shocked by what she saw. She never thought Elise could afford the necktie. And I called her a bumpkin? She stared at Elise in disbelief. But she's really a bumpkin. Where did she get the money? And those are men's ties. I bet she bought it for Alex. That bitch must be trying to seduce him. I cannot let her get away with it. Ashlyn clenched her fists quietly, while the retail assistant came over. Do you need anything else, Miss Lawson? Ashlyn was just about to vent her anger, and the retail assistant coming up to her gave her a reason to do so. Anything else? You don't have anything I want. This is the last time I'm coming here. And then she stormed off. Elise looked at her shopping bags. When she came here, she only wanted to get one as Alexander's birthday gift, but she bought an extra one now just to spite Elise. I'll give one to Jamie. The thought of that made her feel better, since at least it wouldn't be a waste of her money buying a second one. Just when she was about to go back to school, Jonah called her. Ellie, are you busy? Elise smiled. No. Can I help you, Grandpa Griffith? Why, yes. Jonah answered. I have sent someone to pick you up after school, so go with them then. Elise agreed to it without hesitating. When she came out from school, Jonah's men were already waiting for her at the school gates. When they saw her, they quickly went up to her and took her bag. Come with us, please, Miss Elise. She got into the car and asked, Where are we going? The driver answered. Mr. Griffith wants us to take you to Tony. It's Mr. Alexander's birthday. party tonight, so he wants you to style up. Elise quickly refused. It's fine. I think I look okay the way I am, so Mr. Tony doesn't have to do anything, really. The driver smiled. It's all right. Mr. Griffith has prepared everything. Just go with the flow. Elise couldn't refuse further, but she was also worried her makeup might get busted. In the end, they came to Tony's shop and she simply told him she would do her own makeup, while they could pick her dress. Tony gave her a closer look and suggested sincerely, Miss Sinclair, you have a great figure, so this dress will accentuate all your curves. And your looks are exquisite, but you might want to change your makeup. Elise didn't want her makeup changed. It's fine. I'll make do with my current one. She refused. Tony sighed. He thought it was a shame, but he didn't want to force her, so he chose a bolder dress to go with her makeup. After they were done styling up, Elise took a look in the mirror. When she saw her new look, she felt unreal. What do you think, Miss Sinclair? Elise nodded. It's great. My makeup doesn't go with the dress though. In the end, she chose to get another dress. But why don't you get me a dress that is less ostentatious? It'll be better. I need something that matches my look after all. Tony was put in a dilemma. Miss Sinclair, it'll be better if I change your makeup. Can you let me try? Elise refused politely. No. Just change the dress. In the end, Elise switched into a simple dress, though it was an elegant one. It was 7 in the evening, and everyone in Griffith residence was in high spirits. The rich ladies who were dressed in fine evening wear were chatting with one another, while back upstairs, the servants were straightening out Jonah's clothes. Jonah looked in the mirror and asked, Is everything done? The butler answered politely. Worry not, sir. Everything is in place. Now all we need is Miss Elise and Mr. Alexander to appear. Jonah nodded in approval. And don't let anyone find out, especially Alex. Yes, sir. Jonah smiled at his reflection. I sure do hope they can get closer this time. Better yet, they should get engaged. I really want to attend their wedding. Don't worry, sir. Mr. Alexander will not let you down. Jonah held his walking stick. Let's go. Time for us to make our entrance. The moment Elise showed up, lots of rich ladies came to chat with her. After all, the whole of the upper society knew Elise was close to the Griffiths. They wanted to see if they could befriend Elise, since that would mean they were indirectly friends with the Griffiths. Elise handled them well as she had excellent social skills. She knew what to speak and what not to, and everyone was merry. When she finally could catch a break, she plopped down on a sofa and ate some snacks. At that moment, someone said, The Griffiths' young masters are here. Everyone looked at the entrance and saw Alexander coming in first, flanked by Danny and Jack, while Matthew followed behind. The moment they came in, they caught everyone's eyes. Someone commented, They are all great people, especially Alexander. I heard he just nailed a deal in Eris, and made some serious money gambling in Jade City. Jack's not bad either. Yes, he's a celebrity, but the whole nation loves him. Danny doesn't have much to his name, but he's still young. Sure, his brothers are more successful than he is, but I'm sure he will make a name for himself in the future. Well, as for that illegitimate son. Everyone shut up with unison at the mention of Matthew. And then someone added, Hey, there should be a fifth guy, right? A designer called Brendan? I heard he won an international prize for his designs. Not bad. Jonah's really lucky to have these kids. Jonah couldn't stop beaming after hearing the praise. All thanks to you for giving them a chance. Anytime, Mr. Jonah. At this moment, Ashlyn came in with her brother, Jonathan. She was wearing a beautiful red dress that made her stand out among the crowd, part of it thanks to her height. When Jonathan came in and saw the ladies there, he was delighted. You go around on your own, Ashlyn. I'll have to see some friends. She knew Jonathan was just going to flirt, but she didn't stop him. Don't forget to take me home later. Sure. Jonathan answered. Jonathan went into the crowd, while Ashlyn tidied her hair, and searched for Alexander. When she saw him, she walked toward him slowly. Alex. Danny and Jack looked at her. They didn't really like her, after what happened last time, but they wouldn't tell her off nonetheless. "Hi, Ashlyn." They greeted. Ashlyn smiled. "Hi, Danny." "Hi, Jack." She turned to Alexander, but he was ignoring her. However, she wasn't mad. Instead, she took her gift out, and handed it to him. "Here's the gift I prepared, Alex. I hope you like it." Any man would kill to have Ashlyn give them a gift, but Alexander only replied coldly, "Thank you." Apparently, he wasn't going to take the gift. The atmosphere was awkward, so Danny quickly broke the ice. "What did you get for Alexander, Ashlyn?" Ashlyn felt embarrassed, but she stayed calm. "I handpicked this, Alexander. Please take it." She thought he'd say something, but he still didn't. Jack and Danny glanced at each other. The old Jack would have stood up for Ashlyn, but tonight, he turned his head away, and pretended that he saw nothing. Danny looked around to see if anyone could be of help. When he saw Liz, he quickly went up to her. "Boss, are you here to give Alexander your present?" Elise was surprised Danny came to her. She was planning on giving Alexander the gift after the banquet, but since Danny already brought it up, she simply said, "Yes." Then, she took the present out. "Here, Alexander. Happy birthday." Alexander looked at her, then at her present. For some reason, he wanted to know what her gift was, but he had to stay calm and collected. "Danny, take the gift." Danny quickly took Elise's gift. He paused for a moment, then he took Ashlyn's as well. Ashlyn heaved a sigh of relief after her gift was taken. Unbeknownst to her, Alexander never wanted to take her gift. Jack asked curiously, "What did you get him, Elise? Can we open it? That does not seem cheap at all." Wow, she really does care about Alex. However, before Elise could answer, Ashlyn said, "I got Alex a watch from Longines. Latest model, and it's a limited edition too. Only 3 pieces are available worldwide." Danny praised. "Wow, that's a nice gift. You must have spent a lot of money on it." Jack snorted. "I'm asking Elise, not you." Ashlyn's smile froze. The old Jack wouldn't talk to her that way, but after what happened, she could feel his contempt toward her. However, she didn't flip out. "I just think this fits Alexander. That's all, really. You're really nice to him, Ashlyn." Danny praised genuinely. But right after that, Alexander took Elise's present, and looked at her. "What did you get me?" Elise was surprised he asked her, but she answered, "A necktie. I don't know if you will like it though." Alexander opened it, and took a look. "Well, this fits my aesthetics. She knows me well. Not bad." It was a curt remark, but coming from Alexander, it meant a lot. He wouldn't even look at most people's gifts, but now he actually opened Elise's to take a look. Ashlyn now knew Alexander never cared about her gift in the first place, and her face fell. It was then a servant hurried over. "Mr. Alexander, the ball is starting soon, and Mr. Jonah wants you there." "I see." Alexander handed the gift box to Jack. "Hold it for me." He went to the hall after that. It was a merry sight in the hall, for it was packed with people. The host was standing in the middle of the stage, hyping the event up. "Thank you for coming to the ball today. We hope you'll have a great night. The ball shall begin soon, but today, we're going to ditch the boring old ways for something fun and exciting." Everyone was excited to hear that, and they looked at the host, curious about what the new thing was. "Everyone will be required to wear a mask and draw numbers. Whoever gets the same number will be dance partners for the ball, so your dance partners are completely randomized." Everyone burst into cheers. The servants then distributed the masks to the guests. Elise went to take one as well, and she got a fox mask, while her number was 56. Well, who's the unlucky guy? Dancing wasn't her forte after all. In fact, it was one of her worst talents. She stood silently among the crowd, a glass of champagne in hand. everyone got their partners. Eventually, but her partner still didn't show up, much to her frustration. Did nobody get my number? Just when she was asking herself that, a tall man in a bear mask came up to her, and he was holding a slip that had the number 56 on it. "May I have a dance, milady?" the man said. "Hey, I know that voice anywhere. Alexander? Is that you?" She sounded surprised, but also delighted. Alexander was surprised that he got Elise as well, so he chuckled. Fate wants us together, it seems. Or as some might say, plot device. Elise wondered why he said that, but she didn't have the time to question him. Alexander had extended his hand, and she held it after a moment of hesitation, letting him lead her to the dance floor. "I don't know how to dance, though, so be prepared," Alexander assured her. "It's fine. Just follow my tempo." The music started playing, and Alexander made the first move. "Follow me. Step to the left. Take 3 steps back, then step to your right." Elise followed his instructions and tempo, but less than a minute later, she said, "I'm sorry. I stepped on your foot." Alexander gave her an encouraging look. "It's fine. Take it slow." It was embarrassing for Elise, but still she followed his instructions, though guests who danced close to her swore they heard her apologizing a lot. Every time she said sorry, Alexander just reassured her patiently. "It's fine. You can do it." His encouragement was starting to work, and she slowly got into the tempo. Eventually, she caught up to him, and made no mistakes in her dance. "Not bad." He gave her genuine praise. Elise felt embarrassed, but she kept dancing. They were immersed in their tempo, and everyone else didn't matter. Eventually, the guests retreated from the dance floor, leaving them alone on it, dancing to the tune. When the song finally ended, thunderous applause rang around the hall. Elise bowed sheepishly, then Alexander took her away from the dance floor. Once they got out, Alexander praised, "Not bad." Elise quickly answered, "All thanks to you." Alexander looked at her and continued, "But that's also because you are a good learner." She tucked her hair behind her ear shyly. "That's the first time I ever danced to a song from start to finish. Wasn't as hard as I thought it would be." Alexander agreed. "We can learn, if you have the time to." Just when they were chatting, Matthew came over to them. He had always been trying to dance with Elise. "Elise, you danced nicely." Elise was surprised Matthew knew it was her despite the mask. Ever since what happened last time, she had been distancing herself from him, but now he suddenly came up to her, not to mention in front of a crowd. "I was just going with the flow. Not too shabby, but not too great either." Matthew didn't give her any chance to escape, because he had already extended his hand. "My fair lady, may I have a dance with you?" There was love in his eyes, as if he had a lot of things to say to her. Elise was in a dilemma. She didn't want to dance with Matthew, but she couldn't find any reasons to refuse. Luckily for her, Alexander stood before her. According to the rules, everyone's dance partner is decided by the draw. In other words, there was no changing of partners once it was set. Finally finding an excuse, Elise said, "Sorry, Matthew. We got the same number, so I can't dance with you." "Perfect. Nobody can refute me." Matthew smiled and slowly pulled his hand back. "It's fine. Let's leave it until next time then." Elise nodded. It was then the hall went dark, and everyone gasped. About a minute later, everyone heard the sound of wheels creaking, and someone was singing "Happy Birthday. Happy Birthday to you. Happy Birthday to you." The crowd parted, and made way for Danny and Jack. They were pushing a big cake on a cart, heading toward Alexander. Everyone around them also started singing as well. Once they were done singing "Happy Birthday," someone shouted, "Make a wish, birthday boy." Everyone looked at Alexander. He put his hands together, closed his eyes, and made a wish. Together, everyone. 3, 2, 1. Blow. Everyone blew out the candles, and the guests clapped. At the same time, the lights came back on again. Alexander picked up the knife, and cut out a slice, before handing it to Elise. "Have a taste." She took it from him and thanked him before popping a small chunk into her mouth. The cream melted in her mouth at once. "How is it?" Alexander asked. Elise nodded. "Not bad." Alexander cut a slice of cake and popped a small chunk into his mouth as well. Immediately, his taste buds were assailed by the sweet scent of the cake, and a handsome smile appeared on his face. Jonah was delighted to see the both of them standing together. "Sir, I think young Master Alexander likes Miss Elise." Jonah answered cryptically. "Perhaps, but honestly, they do make a good couple. I just hope he will realize that soon. You did a great job, but something is still missing." "Sir, you're saying we should?" Jonah stopped him. "Let's stop while we are ahead. This is a big project, and I want to take it slow. I just hope they will start going out eventually." "Don't worry, sir. They will get it eventually," the butler said. A smile broke out on Jonah's lips, and he went back upstairs. Apparently, he was in a good mood. The banquet went on until 11 at night. Once the guests made their departure, the villa fell into its usual silence. Elise's stomach was acting up, after she had too much to eat. Even after she had washed it down with water, she still felt bloated, so she went out to have a walk. The night was beautiful, with the moon covering everything in a silvery sheen, and the stars twinkled down upon the earth. Elise sat on the yard swing alone, enjoying the scenery. But then a while later, she heard the sound of the piano in the distance. "Who's playing at this hour?" She was surprised, but she listened to it silently. The music was delightful and sad at the same time, as if these two opposites were getting merged together. Curious, she went in the direction of the sound. It wasn't until she got to the top floor did she realize where the sound was coming from. The piano room. She went over, and noticed that the door was ajar. Once she stepped in, what she saw was a man sitting before the piano with his back turned to her. His fingers flew across the piano keys, playing the same tune Elise heard earlier. "Not bad," she praised genuinely. The moment she talked, Alexander stopped and turned around. "It's late. Why are you still here?" Elise snickered and went closer to him. "Because I heard the music. It's great. It's just something I played on a whim. Not anything great," he answered. Elise didn't think so. "You must have trained for years. That's gotta be around grade 8. He arched his eyebrow. "You play too?" Elise rubbed her nose, slightly nervous. "Not a lot though." But that intrigued Alexander. "Wanna play a song together?" Elise didn't refuse his invitation. "Sure," she answered. Alexander was surprised she agreed so readily, but he freed up half of the bench for her, and she went to sit by his side. Elise put her hands on the keys, and they started playing a tune together. They worked harmoniously, and grasped every beat to perfection. Alexander was surprised that Elise was so talented at piano as well. Elise thought the same about him too. "Oh, I found a kindred soul." They hastened their tempo a moment later, then they slowed down. The tune was never out of sync for even a single beat. Once they were done playing, Alexander smiled. "Looks like I have underestimated you, Elise. You're a good pianist." He was genuine about that praise. Elise praised him as well. "You're better than I am. You moved really fluidly. You play this song a lot, don't you?" It was the truth, but Alexander didn't feel awkward about it. "Not bad. You saw through me." Elise pulled her hands back from the keys and got up. "Thanks. It's late, so I'll retire for the night." However, Alexander stopped her. "You know, I like playing the piano with you. Can we have another session together, if it's fine with you?" Elise smiled. "Sure." Then, she left the room, while Alexander saw her off. Once she turned the corner, he looked back at the piano keys and closed his eyes as he recalled how they played the piano together earlier. It was the first time anyone could match his speed and sync up with him so perfectly. A moment later, he opened his eyes, and for some reason, he got curious about Elise. How many more secrets does she have? As the first ray of sunshine shone through Elise's room, her annoying alarm rang on time yet again, and she got up reluctantly to take a morning shower. Then, she went out and bumped right into Alexander. "Morning." Alexander greeted her. "Morning." She greeted back. They walked ahead side by side. "Had a good sleep?" he asked. She smiled sweetly at him. "Not bad." They went downstairs, and Elise looked around, but Danny was nowhere to be found. "Danny should be taking me to school today." "Where is he?" Alexander answered by he was wasted last night. "Probably still sleeping, so I'll give you a ride later." Elise wasn't going to object to that. Sure. She went to the dining room for her breakfast. It was a simple one, which was her favorite. Once she was done, she went into Alexander's car. While she was on her way to school, Elise did her extra homework, while Alexander looked at her, who was focused, in the rearview mirror gently. When they stopped at her school, she quickly kept her stuff away. "I'll be going now. You should go to work too. Bye." She got out of the car, and strode toward the gate, but then, a guy stopped her. "Elise." Elise stopped instinctively and turned around, and she was greeted by a delighted Zachary. Finally. He beamed at her, and showed her the breakfast he bought. "For you." Elise was slightly annoyed that he was here, so she didn't take the breakfast. "Why are you here?" Zachary chose to ignore the question and only smiled at her, but then he looked sad. "I thought I asked you to wait for me after the test. Why did you leave without me?" He bit his tongue and instead said, "It's fine. I'll come to you anyway." "Oh, I have heard about the results. You got full marks again, huh? Congrats." He congratulated her. Elise noticed the passion in his eyes, and it made her feel uncomfortable. She pursed her lips. "Do you need anything, Zachary?" Zachary shook his head, and pointed at the breakfast he bought. "Nothing. Just here to give you breakfast. Got some great egg sandwiches for you. Here, take it." Elise refused. "Thanks, but I already had breakfast." Zachary looked crestfallen, but he still said, "I'll bring you something else next time." Elise looked straight at him. "Zachary, we aren't as close as you think. You don't have to do this." That made him blush, and he stammered. "It's fine. I want to do this." Elise kept on refusing. "Please don't, Zachary. We are only high schoolers, and relationships aren't really what we should be focusing on right now. I don't want any rumors to start, so please stop seeing me." Her straightforward response caught him off guard. "Did I trouble you?" "It's fine. I won't do it, if you don't like it." Since she wanted to end it right there and then, she asked, "Zachary, why are you doing this? What do you want from me? I'm not exactly pretty. You can even call me ugly, and I won't say a thing. Why are you so interested in me?" Zachary tried to look at her calmly, but his heart wouldn't stop pounding. "You got this the wrong way. I'm not interested in you. I like you." "I like you, Elise." Elise blinked at him. What on earth is happening? Why do guys keep saying they like me? Am I in a novel or something? Yes, you aren't the prettiest girl around, but you're very capable. I mean, you got full marks in the Math Olympiad Nationals. That alone is already great enough. Also, you're kind and always helpful. That's why I like you. I don't care about your looks. I care about what's inside. Yes, I know it's not great for high schoolers to get in a relationship, but I can wait. I'll start when we get into college. Just give me a chance. Before he could finish, someone coughed behind them. Elise snapped out of it, and saw Alexander standing behind her. He smiled apologetically. Sorry for interrupting you guys, but you dropped your pen in my car, Elise. Really? He just has to show up at this moment? Zachary, on the other hand, looked at Alexander suspiciously. The guy looked and felt better than Zachary in every way, and that realization crushed his confidence. Even so, he asked. And this is? Elise held Alexander's arm without thinking. He's my boyfriend. I'm sorry, Zachary, but I'll have to refuse you. Zachary couldn't believe what he was hearing. The news came as a bombshell for him, and he stared at the both of them in disbelief. Is that true? His voice changed. Are you her boyfriend? Alexander was about to say no, but he felt Elise gripping the hem of his shirt from behind, so he smiled. We live under the same roof. Every day. He wrapped his arm around her waist. Is that answer enough? Elise was shocked that Alexander would tell Zachary about that, and she gawked at Alexander. Alexander ignored her, continuing. You have great taste seeing that you fell for my girlfriend, but my girlfriend's taste seems to be better than yours. After all, she did fall in love with a prince like me instead of a peasant. Like you. Zachary almost tripped over himself, and he looked offended by that comment. Wow, what's the deal with this guy? Did he knock his head when he was a kid or something? He looked at Elise with sadness and determination. I won't give up no matter what. Just give up. Elise wanted to tell him that, but Zachary left without giving her the chance. That was inconvenient for her, of course. After he left, Alexander pulled his hand away, and arched his eyebrow at Elise. You don't get loyal guys like that now. Sure you don't want to give him a chance? Elise glared at him. Don't give me that. Staying under the same roof? Now that's just cheeky. Alexander replied calmly. You called me your boyfriend first. That's cheeky too. Well, true. I mean, the part where I called him my boyfriend. In the end, she stammered. Even so, you can't tell him we are living together. What will he think? He shrugged. But I didn't lie. We are living under the same roof, just not in the same room. Oh God. I'm never hearing the end of this. Forget it. I'm going to be late. She hurried away, and he saw her off. His lips curled into a smile, and his mood got better. Elise walked as fast as she could to the classroom. Hey, why are you running, Elise? Michaela asked. Elise was frustrated, so she grumbled. Michaela, life is hard. That confused Michaela. Sorry. What are you talking about? Is it a game? But that's life is strange. Elise took a deep breath and calmed herself. It's nothing. We should get to class now. It took Elise the whole morning to calm down and put the morning's events behind her. During the afternoon break, Samantha and Riley asked Elise to eat out together, and Elise invited Michaela as well. Just when they were about to exit the gates, she saw a familiar guy standing across the street, and her heart sank. She thought she got the wrong guy, but when he took his sunglasses off and smiled at her, she knew she wasn't seeing things. Elise snapped out of it and told her friends. You girls go ahead. I need to settle some matters, so I won't be coming. Samantha was concerned, seeing that Elise was leaving so suddenly. What is it? Do you need our help? Elise refused. It's fine. No big deal, so I'll handle it myself. The girls said nothing more and left. Elise stared at the man across the street, until he finally came up to her. It's been a while. Elise was surprised that he was here, but she smiled too. How did you find me? Noel smiled at her. I met up with Julius. He told me about you, so here I am. I see. Let's talk at a more private place. Noel suggested. Elise said yes, and she left with him. They went to a private restaurant. It was located in a quiet spot, and the ambience was great. Noel and Elise got a room for themselves, and the guy kept looking at her. Wow, that Jeff is ugly. Anyone else wouldn't have recognized you. Elise took a sip from her teacup and said nothing. Since she was keeping her silence, Noel continued. How have you been doing? Elise smiled. What do you think? Noel nodded. Not bad, I guess. It's a pity you left. You would have been a great celebrity if you had stayed. Elise didn't respond. Instead, she looked outside the window. I heard you're someone's songwriter now. Noel answered. You know the guy too. In fact, I came here on his behalf today. Elise knew why he came, but she would not budge no matter what. Noel, you know I would never write another song. Noel interjected. It's been years. Can't you let it go? Put yourself in my shoes. Can you let it go? Noel wanted to answer that, but he couldn't. She sighed. If you are here to ask for my help, then sorry. I can't. But if you just want to have a cup of tea and a little chat with a friend, then you are always welcome. Noel knew Elise wouldn't budge no matter what, though he thought it was a shame. Jack was decently popular in the industry, but he needed a good song to establish himself. A celebrity built on hype would never last. If he didn't produce anything good, it will be difficult for him to make a comeback once the hype died down. Jack had been his longtime disciple, and Noel had been developing his musical talent from when he was an amateur. He didn't want Jack to lose his future just like that. Give it some thought. I just need one song. You can write about anything. Just one song. Noel, you know where I stand on this matter. I know, but this is just a simple thing for you. Noel didn't want to give up. Elise said nothing, but she still wouldn't budge. Noel knew she was still offended by what happened back then, and he knew she would never change her decision. That was just how she was. I'm sorry, I know it's a difficult decision. Since you refused, let's put this behind us. He took out his card. This is my personal number. Call me if you change your mind. You're still my friend no matter what, and that will never change. She took it, and put it in her pocket. Dig in. Noel was glad she took his card. Sure. Dig in. After that, Noel sent her back to school. You can call me anytime you want, he told her solemnly before she left. Elise waved to him, and went back to school. The moment she came back to the classroom, she saw Michaela typing away furiously on her phone. She sat down beside her friend and asked, "What happened? Someone got on your nerves?" Michaela answered without even looking up. "I need your help, Elise. These trolls are too much. They are insulting my idol. Quick, make an account, and troll them back." Elise huddled closer, and saw Michaela arguing with Jack's haters on Twitter. Judging from the looks of it, Michaela wouldn't back down until the trolls did. "Hurry up, Elise." Michaela urged Elise to help, since she was about to lose. Elise asked, "What happened? Why are there so many trolls there?" Michaela grumbled. "These guys said Jack is just a talentless celebrity who only got popular because he's hot. Said he can't even act his way out of anything. Someone even called him a sissy. God, that makes me so mad. Haters, yeah? Ignore them. I'll help you." She took her phone out, and lines of code flashed on her screen. Elise hacked into Twitter's server, and banned the haters from the platform. Oh, they finally stopped. When the trolls stopped commenting, Michaela gushed. "They must have backed off, because they are scared of me." Elise kept her phone and said nothing. Danny came to pick Elise up after school. The moment she came back, she heard someone playing the piano in the piano room, and her eyes lit up. She thought it was Alexander, so she put her bag down and went upstairs, but the moment she came up, the piano went silent. A moment later, she heard the sound of something getting scrunched up, and Jack came out looking frustrated. He saw Elise, but he went past her without even saying hi. "Jack." Elise wanted to say something, but she decided against it. Curious, she went into the piano room, only to see it looking like a mess. The floor was littered with crumpled papers, and even the stand, which stood perfectly fine before, was now lying on the ground. Ely crouched down to pick up the crumpled papers, and opened it to see what it was. An unfinished song. "Ah, Miss Elise, you are here," a servant suddenly said. Elise kept the paper quietly. "Yes," the servant said politely. "Yes. Master Alexander will be working overtime tonight. Master Jonah doesn't want him to eat out, since the food outside isn't hygienic, so he asked the servant to cook something for him. But Mrs. Woods is on leave to see her sick grandchild, while Stella can't leave. In the end, I had to come to you for help. You want me to take his dinner to him?" The servant looked worried that Elise might be offended. "It's fine if you can't do it. I don't have anything else to do, and the servants are busy. I might as well help them." "Oh, Just leave it to me. Pack his dinner up, and I'll take it to him. The servant was delighted to hear that. Of course, Miss Elise. I'll take my leave now. After the servant was gone, she picked the paper up, and kept them before leaving. Elise took both her and Alexander's dinner on her way out. On her way there, she looked through the song she picked up rack at the piano room. It's okay, but it doesn't pop out. It's a bit mediocre, but if it's spiced up a little, it should work. She started changing it up, but a short while later, she was already at the company. We are here, Miss Elise. She kept the paper and pen in her pocket, before going into the company with 2 sets of dinner in hand. Everyone knew her as she came with Jonah before, and they greeted her respectfully. Miss Sinclair. Elise wasn't used to people being so polite to her, so she went up to the top floor alone using the VIP elevator. When Alexander's assistant saw her, he greeted respectfully. Miss Sinclair, what brings you here? She raised a lunchbox in her hand. Where's your boss? He's in a meeting, but you can wait for him in his office. Then, he led Elise to Alexander's office. It wasn't her first time in his office, but it was her first time taking a close look. His office was huge, and it had leather furniture as well as a luxurious desk. A big French window stood behind his chair, and it overlooked the whole city. She picked up a magazine from the book rack and read it on the sofa. Time passed. When Alexander came out of the meeting, his assistant went up to him. Sir, you are finally done. Alexander arched his eyebrow. Did something happen? He walked ahead. Yes. Miss Elise is here. She's in your office, but it's been 3 hours. Alexander was obviously delighted to hear that, but he asked curiously. Why is she here though? And why didn't you tell me? The assistant wanted to explain, but Alexander was already hurrying to his office. He pushed the door open, and was about to go in, but the next second, he stopped and put his finger to his lips. The assistant knew what Alexander meant, so he retreated. Elise was already asleep on the sofa when he came in. Alexander looked at her gently. Night had already descended upon the city, and the moonlight shone upon her silently, as if protecting her. He went to the cubicle, and took a blanket to cover her up, but she opened her eyes before he could do it. Their gazes met, and time stood still for a moment. Oh, you're awake. Alexander spoke first. She sat up right away. Sorry, I fell asleep. Alexander stood up. It's fine. Sorry you had to wait. Oh, yeah. I'm here to give him his dinner. Here you go. Your grandpa told the servants to make you this. I bet you are hungry, so dig in. Alexander arched his eyebrow. Huh? Grandpa knows I usually have dinner at the company's cafeteria, whenever I have to work overtime. So why did he ask Elise to come? He knew what his grandfather was trying to do, but he didn't tell Elise. Yeah, I am. We can have dinner together, if you want to. Elise was hungry as well, so she took her lunchbox out and laid it on the table, before handing Alexander's cutlery over. They sat across from each other, and had their dinner in silence. Elise was wolfing it down like an uncivilized brute, for she was starving. Alexander cocked his eyebrow and chuckled. Well, someone has a big appetite.
Subscribe. Like, comment, share.